Well, Larissa, thank you so much for being here with me on the Entrepreneurial Success Podcast. I'm so excited to meet you, learn a little bit more about you, but in addition, share a lot of good stuff here for the audience today. So before we dive in, why don't I hand over to you so you can introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, I would love that. So my name's Larissa Sowen. I'm based out of Canada. My calling card, I guess, is that I help entrepreneurs that are ready to grow in their business. They'll scale up, get more clients. I help them write books to really boost their brand. And it really centers around they have a story to tell. And I want to help them tell that story in a way that they can leverage in their business. And so I've been doing this for a couple of years now. I'm an author myself. I've been helping entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I do all of these things. So I really have a good understanding of, where they're coming from and what they're trying to get. So I'm also a mother, very, very proud of that fact. She's my pride and joy, and she tests me every single day.
As I'm sure they all do.
Yes.
How did it get started for you, though? How did you become an entrepreneur, and how did that lead to the point where you go, hey, this is something that I can use and utilize in order to help my clients with?
So I'm ex-corporate. I was a corporate employee for 12 years before I had to take some time off due to mental health reasons. And I was away, extreme burnout. I had, mental health concerns. It was just not going well for me. And I needed this creative outlet. And so I turned to writing. And honestly, I hadn't written since like high school, like not creatively, right? Like I'd done research papers and things like that. And I used to be like a procedural copywriter at work, but oh my gosh, it was boring. It was not creative writing. And so I turned to creative writing, and my husband and I had a different side business at the time, creating mystery escape room games. And I was like, okay, I'm going to create a new game. This will be super fun. And I started writing it, and I kept writing and writing and writing. And I was like going, oh my gosh, this game is getting too long. And I remember my husband walking in, and he's like, what are you working on? I was like, I think I'm writing a book. It was not in my plans. I didn't set out with the goal to write a book. Like I never aspired this for myself. And then all of a sudden it just happened. And the way I had structured my character was she was very fragile. She was very, broken. She didn't like where she was. She was struggling as a mother, an employee, a person. But that kind of character, it's really great to start them out that way, but they can't stay that way. They have to grow, right? Otherwise, it's a pretty depressing book. So I had to take her through the steps of growing and becoming this new person that she wanted to be. And in order to really write her effectively, I had to do it myself. So that was the creative writing intro to books. And then once I started, I couldn't stop. So I left my corporate position in October, actually. And I transitioned into the more entrepreneurial side of helping other coaches primarily write their books. And I hinged it all on the back of, I wrote my own book, How to Write a Book, Memoirs and Autobiographies, that was specifically, it was a piece of nonfiction, which was very different for me. And I wanted to help others tell their story. And when I published the book, it was immediately so much more successful than my sci-fi. I knew how to market it and things like that. It was just better all around. But those sales, those $10 sales, my book is only $10, which is like $4 in royalties or something. It's not much, but they translated into ghostwriting clients and into high ticket clients. As an entrepreneur, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a secret here. And that's the long-winded way of saying it spiraled into a business of, I started getting speaking engagements. I started going on more podcasts. I started getting, media press as a result of my book. And me getting that meant my business was getting that.
Yeah.
And it just spiraled. And I don't look back.
Oh, I love your story. And, listening to you, the way you're talking it through, it makes me think that anybody could do that. Anybody can do that. That is so possible. If there is some part of you, and I'm talking now to the listeners, to the audience here, if you're listening to this and there's a part of you that really resonate with Larissa's story and you feel like, yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Well, then I know that you're going to love today's episode, because this is where Larissa is basically going to give you a ton of tips and so many great ideas on how to do this. And this is exactly what today's episode is all about, is how to use the superpower of having a book basically as a marketing tool for your business. And we're going to dive a lot more into this. So, what I want to ask you, Larissa, is obviously with your experience and with what you're teaching your clients, how can a book help your business, basically, in a nutshell?
Yeah. So there's a lot of ways. I kind of mentioned already, like, the speaking engagements, the podcasts, the media outlet, the high ticket clients. It's all about building your brand. And, I primarily work with coaches that are already well established. So they get that. They get that their brand is everything. Their story is a part of their brand. But it's really emphasizing that. And the beautiful part about working with coaches is that we are all in it to help, to serve. That's why we've started this. And a book is just the next level of service. I know a lot of the coaches I work with are high ticket. So, they're a couple $1,000s to work with them. And when I started, I had a lot of guilt around that. I couldn't serve everyone. And yet I felt, like you said, everyone deserves to tell their story. And so when I wrote my book, it was my $10 way of serving others.
Yeah.
Right. And so as a coach, you can put this amazing product together and you can reach out and serve more. But there's a sneaky underline to it. Not only are you serving more, but you're qualifying your leads.
Yes.
If someone is willing to invest $10 into your book and sit with you for potentially hours through your book, they're going to come out the other side, if they can afford you and if they need you, ready to buy. And so it's just this huge qualifying magnet to bring people in. And then the other side of it is, I want to talk more about the speaking engagements and coming on podcasts like this and getting the media outlets interested in your name, in your brand. Call yourself an author. That's all I do to come on podcasts. I send a note to people and I say, hey, I'm an author of XYZ. I'd love to come on your show and talk about what it is I do. And the credibility that goes with that, it's instantaneous. Yeah. Well, you wrote a book? I want to talk to you, right? And it just unlocks all of these doors that you wouldn't have normally. You could be a millionaire, but that's not your tagline. You don't say, hey, I'm Larissa Sohn and I'm a millionaire. That's a little cocky in my opinion, but hey, I'm Larissa Sohn and I'm an author. That says something, right?
Yeah. And I think what also come with it is, being an author, I think for a lot of people, they get to this point where like, wow, all the time you've invested in writing that book and getting it published, it shows the commitment that you as a coach shows then. All your expertise, your knowledge that you're putting into that book. And for a lot of people, that is like this mega jump that they can't see themselves doing it. So I still feel personally as well, for anybody else who's an author, I still feel like, oh my God, that is incredible that you've accomplished this. You've taken the time to actually write this book and getting it out there, getting it published. So I do feel that even though there's that credibility, there's also that kind of, how can I say, I take my hat off to you. Well done. You've achieved this. And it just shows your expertise through it as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes authors really stand out from the crowd in so many ways, I feel personally, because I look up to a lot of authors myself.
Yeah, I totally agree. The staying power to sit down and write a book, like you and I were chatting, you're part of a collaboration book. So even one chapter is a commitment. In my opinion, it's even harder than a whole book because you only have one chapter to tell your whole story and your methodology and all that it is that you do. In a book, a full book, you have endless number of pages to talk about what it is, who you serve, and why you serve, right?
Yeah, it was hard, I will say. Writing that one chapter and having a limit of how many words you can use is like, oh, how am I going to do this? But I did it. And I'll share a little bit more about that at the end with everybody else as well. So with that in mind, what does it take to write a book from your experience?
So there's a stat that I absolutely love sharing. 98% of people want to write a book and only 3% do.
Oh, that's interesting.
And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you could ask anybody and they'd say different thing. It's literally the will to do it. If you have the drive and the motivation and the will to do it, you will find the time, you will find the money, it will all come into place. You just have to want it. You don't even necessarily have to have the skill. You can learn the skills. You just have to want to do it. And I think so many people get hung up on oh, I don't have the time. I don't have them. Then do you really want it? If this is something you really want, you will find. It's just like starting your business. It's going to be hard work. Do you want it? Then you're willing to work for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that commitment, I mean, that is something that's got to be there. But I think it's like anything, when you're committed to do something, there's got to be a bigger why behind it. And that is going to be the driving force that keeps you committed in order to show up, to keep writing a little bit every single day until the book is done. And that is going to be the next step for me personally, because even though I've just written a chapter in a book, the next step is for me now to go and write my own book and get that published. So I know that is there. I'm committed to do it, but now I've got to put that time aside in order to fulfill that why. But I think also this comes a little bit hand in hand with, asking for help. Because a lot of people, that 3% that actually goes out and writes a book, I think the thing that we've got to understand here is that they didn't do it on their own. They always go and ask for help somewhere, somehow. And what would you suggest, or what would your kind of tips be here, so to speak?
Writing can be such an isolating thing. And I think a lot of people get stuck in this is my book and my book alone. And that's true. It is your book. It is your baby. It's your ideas. It's your, thoughts. But you're not alone in the process. And that's primarily why I became a coach in this space, is because when I wrote my first book, I was very isolated. It was me and my husband. He was my alpha reader. He was my beta reader. He was everything. And while his feedback is good, rose-colored glasses, right? So, what I learned through the first book was that there is these amazing writing communities out there. The first one I was introduced to was Book Talk, actually on TikTok. That's where I found my community. I was able to share my writing process. So on like a social level, I was getting the support I needed that way through Book Talk. And that's a free resource that you can easily engage in. And generally speaking, it's quite positive. It was more on the technical side that I really needed help on. I didn't understand that there were, like I said, alpha readers, people that are reading your book as you're writing it and providing feedback as you're going. I didn't know that there was beta readers, that someone you send your manuscript to give you opinions on the big picture kind of a thing. I didn't understand the different levels of editing that went into it. I didn't understand the publishing side. And so all these really technical components was where I really needed the help. Yes, I needed the social support and I needed the motivation from, literally to watch my kid for an hour, please husband, so that I can go write, kind of a thing. I needed that. But I needed the technical support more.
Yeah.
And so I ended up hiring for my first one, a hybrid publisher to help me with cover design, with editing, with interior design, with publishing, marketing, all of it, because I had no clue, no idea what I was doing. And so, yeah, that's the help I would recommend anyone get, is look into the different aspects that come in with writing a book, because it is not just writing. Unfortunately, there's so much more to it.
But that's why I said earlier on, this is why I respect authors so much, because there is a lot more work going on behind the scenes. It's not just that you're popping out a book and go, hey, here it is, it's a bestseller, or it's published, it's done. There's so much work that actually goes on behind the screens. And I think this is what's freaking people out, that 90% that's going, yeah, I want to write a book, and only the 3% that actually go and do it. This is why I'm saying that 3%, they didn't do it on their own. Just like you shared, they're the ones who went out there to kind of figure out, what is it that I need to do? Do I need to get a publisher? Do I need to get a proofreader? And they invested into getting that help, and, having those professionals support them throughout the whole writing. And it's like anything, you don't know what you don't know. If this is something that you want to do, you've got to commit to it, and you've got to get that help. That's part of the commitment, I feel.
Yeah, it totally is. And the people that invest in the project, not even like more than time, I'm talking monetary investment at this point, are so much more likely to get it done.
Yeah.
To actually do it, because there's skin in the game, right? Like, you've paid to see this book come to life. You're not going to quit halfway. If you're doing it alone on your own time, the chances of your book actually making it out are a lot less, unfortunately.
Yeah. And it comes back down to, what you mentioned earlier on, is having that social stability, that social help as well, belonging to a community that would support you and cheer you on and say, don't give up, you're almost there, keep going. So you do need that as well, that accountability, whether it's through a social group, just like you said, or through another accountability partner who's there with you writing a book, or even your publisher, or whoever you're getting that help from. That accountability is the number one thing that is going to help you, and kind of in a nice way push you to get to the end of it.
Yeah, that's right. And help you through those low moments, because they're going to be low moments. You're going to have an imposter syndrome filled day, or a writer's block filled afternoon, and you're going to lose time to these afflictions. By having, a person or a group of people behind you to kind of rally you back up, you're going to save a lot of time. And I think that's the thing that people miss out on, the opportunity of hiring someone to help you, is in the long run. So I'll give you some numbers. We'll start with when I wrote my first book, it took me 4 months to write it. Maybe 3, and that's fast. That is not average. That is fast. And again, I was off work. I had nothing else to do. So and I wrote for 6 hours a day, kind of a thing. So if you put that in dollars, my book alone there is worth a lot. And then I put in editing costs. I put in the hybrid publisher costs. I put in marketing costs and all these things. My book by itself, $10,000. If you factor in time and monetary investment, is about $10,000. You can hire, if I had gone back, if I could go back in time, I would have hired somebody to help me from minute one. I would have cut down my writing time, all the rewrites, all the pain, all the tears of trying to learn this trade on my own. And then hiring, my hybrid publisher to come in. They didn't know my book. They didn't know my messaging. They didn't know any of that. I wish I had gone with somebody through the whole thing. And this is clearly a plug for my services. But as a coach, I am there every step of the way. I'm there from outlining. I'm there from figuring out who you're marketing to, writing your book. I'm your alpha. I'm your developmental editor. I'm all of these things until you publish the book, like beginning to end. And that's what I wish I had in my process. Yeah.
It's just somebody to hold your hand, just to show you what are the next steps, and to take those steps with you and guide you through it. And I think, with anything that we do in life, whether it's writing a book or whether it's just growing a business, that's what we all need. We just need that somebody who's been there, done that, to take you by the hand and say, let me show you how it's done. And that would just make the process so much easier. But again, with that comes the commitment and the investment in order to do so. Now, you mentioned earlier on a couple of things that, how your book helped you to get those PR opportunities, media opportunities, how you generated clients from that. But talk to us a little bit about some of those aspects, but also the high paying clients. What did that look like for you? And how did you use your book, or books now, as a tool in order to do so?
Yeah, so I write in a couple of different genres. Like I mentioned, I write in the sci-fi fiction genre. I have a book coming out, fingers crossed, this year, my memoir. So I write in the nonfiction space that way. And I write in the more how-to genre. And that opened up a door to me to ghostwriting, which is one of the services I offer. So if the people that really want to write a book but fear they don't have the skill or the time, I write your book on your behalf. And so I can write effectively in any genre. And my calling card as a ghostwriter, yes, I call myself a ghostwriter. My calling card are my books. Do you like what I wrote? Do you like my style? Do you like my voice? Then let me write your book. And it brings in very high ticket clients for me. Like an average ghostwriting book is 10,000 or more. But people come willing and ready to pay that because they like what I wrote and they connected with me on such a deep level. So that's the ghostwriting side of it is, my skills are literally on display. They're right in front of you. You can pick them up, you can hold them, and you can sit with them for hours.
Yeah.
When it comes to my coaching clients, the genre of book needed to be a lot more specific. I had to write within my niche. So the How to Write a Book, Memoirs, and Autobiographies was a display of my skills as a coach, very specifically. And I was calling out to the people that want to write a book. So when I take on my coaching clients, I don't take them on to write fiction pieces. I take them on to write business boosting books. Yeah. And kind of what I mentioned earlier, one of my qualifiers is, hey, did you pick up my first book? Do you like what I'm saying? Do you understand what the process is that you're going to go through to get your book written? It's a qualifier. They invest the $10 up front. I see minuscule dollars from that. So it's not a big impact on my financial status by any means. But then they come in, we do our discovery call, and they are ready to buy. Really, this discovery call is a formality of like, hey, let's at least talk before you sign up for my high ticket programs. So it's really, really powerful tool that way. Another couple of ways that I use my book as a business tool is marketing. So my book is 120 pages long, and it's a workbook combo style book. So you actually do activities as you go through it. But every page, I've done the math, every page has 1 to 2 key marketing messages. So when I wrote my book, I send out marketing messages roughly twice a week. That's just over a year's worth of content, if not more, that I don't have to think about. I hand to my VA, I say, here's my book, pull out the marketing messages for the next year because it's all there.
Yeah.
And it double markets. It markets you, it markets your book, it markets your services.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Talk about content creation made easy right there for social media in one.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your emails take a page from your book, right? If you have email swipes, whatever you have, it's all there for you. And then by the time you get through that, you're ready to write book 2.
Amazing. And I think this is the thing, to kind of understand that the book that you're writing is, you're using it as a marketing tool, but you're getting people to use your book to get a foot in the door in order to then take them on their journey for whatever high ticket offers you have available. And the good thing about this book is, you being a published author, is the credibility that comes with that. And this is what I love, because almost like you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. when you go out there and write a book. And this is why I'm so excited with the collaboration that I did, because I have no idea what's waiting for me. This is the first time I'm doing this, but I know it's going to be amazing. So I'm looking very much forward. And for those of you listening, we are recording this, a couple of months just before the book is launched. So you will get the information up at that point when this episode goes live. But for me, I've still got so much to look forward to in order to get that, that book out there. So I want to just throw in one little thing here, which we mentioned earlier on. This is about book collaborations, writing a chapter as a collaboration in a book. From your experience, is that also something that somebody can go and do if they are not ready yet to write their own book?
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And you said it perfectly. You started with a collaboration book, and the next thing on your list is your own book. It's a great way to give you a peek into the world of what it is. When you do collaboration books, you work with a publisher or you work with an organizer of some sort. Yeah. So they're taking on the nitty-gritty. They're doing the design, the editing, the publishing, the marketing, for the most part. It shows you a little bit of light into the space that is publishing a book. And it'll tell you really quickly if you like it or not. If that chapter is a slog to get through and you hate every second of it, writing a book is not for you. But if it enlightens you, if it energizes you, if it, benefits you financially, then you're going to want to do it again. And some people, I'm in my own collaboration book right now, and there's another woman there who has been a part of 11 collaboration books and never written her own. And that's fine. If that's what you want to do, like, that's bite-size looks into your life.
Yeah.
The other beautiful thing about collaboration books that I think a lot of people don't quite understand is the marketing power that comes behind it. If you're looking to get to bestseller, how many people are part of your collaboration book, roughly?
Oh, we're 15.
15. So that's 15 people plus your publisher, plus probably your editor, your designer, that are all going to be marketing this one book. The chances of you hitting bestseller are a lot higher. And the chances of other people outside of your niche, outside of your world, reading your chapter are also a lot higher. Yeah. Because what's the topic of your book?
So the topic is Fab Collab. It's all about collaborations, which is funny enough what we're doing. We're doing a collaboration in the book, but it's about all of these incredible entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs all over the world. And we're 15 together, and we're all talking about a topic of collaboration. What collaboration is for us, our experience of it, and what it has taught us, so to speak, in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. So you could have people from 1,000 different niches, 15 different niches coming together, and their friends and family and their clients are going to pick up your book, their book, and inherently read your story.
Yes.
So the cross-contamination, if you will, is so much higher in a collaboration book, but your story is stunted. You only get one chapter, right? And if you don't say the perfect thing in that chapter, it's going to miss out. So with a whole book, you have, let's say, 120 pages to resonate with somebody, to make an impact. And so the spread is a little bit less, but the likelihood of it hitting home is more.
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is exactly from a personal point of view why I did this collaboration, because I've always wanted to write a book, but I decided I'm not going to be one of those 90%, never turning into a 3%. I needed to get that little glimpse into what does it really look like, which is why the collaboration, when that opportunity came in light, I just knew I wanted to do it. And I know that that is the first stepping stone for me to go out there. And the next opportunity is going to be, now I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write my own book. Yeah. But I think this is the beauty of making sure that, for those of you who's listening to this audio or watching the video, is to understand that, you don't have to just do things in big chunks if it freaks you out, because, sometimes I freak myself out if I get all these crazy ideas. But there's tiny stepping stones for you to get into that, to kind of work on these goals and these ideas that you have. So if you want to write a book and it freaks you out completely, then just look for a collaboration just to start out with that. But if you're wholeheartedly committed and you know that you want to write your own book, you want to do it, then, reach out to Larissa. Get that support that we spoke about earlier on. Ask her for her help on it. Have a conversation with her. I think the main thing to take away from this episode is that if you want to write a book, and I know, like you said, there's a story for everybody. Everybody's got their own story to share. Don't let it hold you back. Don't let all the techie stuff, all the unknown hold you back. Be committed to what it is that you want to do. Seek that help out, and listen to this episode again, listen to this podcast again, but more importantly, ask for help. I think that's the most important thing, so you don't have to do it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be nail it on the head?
Yeah, it'll be so much more rewarding and enjoyable if you engage with the right person and you have that connection and that support through the whole project. Absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh my gosh, Larissa, I love having this conversation with you, and as we're talking, I'm just getting so much more excited, for what is possible out there. But at the same time, you've got an amazing freebie here for the audience, and this is 3 ways to get started to writing your own book, which I think is amazing. I'm going to go check it out myself as well. Tell us a little bit about what this freebie looks like, and then obviously for those of you listening, the link for this freebie will be in the show notes.
Yeah, so I'm very proud to say that I am a best-selling author as of December 1st, and my freebie, there's a lot of weight that comes with calling yourself a best-selling author. Author, yes. Best-selling, next level. And my freebie is 3 steps that I took to get to that bestseller status. And I want to preface that when someone calls themselves a bestseller, they did it very intentionally. They went into their project thinking, I am going to go to bestseller with this book. It doesn't just happen. It's not, unless you're big name, it doesn't just happen. So I have 3 steps plus a bonus on how you can start thinking like a best-selling author right from word 1. And so I have that freebie available, and it's a working document. So you actually fill it out, and it really structures and formulates what you're going to do to get your book to bestseller.
Oh my gosh. And I think, for everybody who would love to write a book, the other thing is to get you to a bestseller, right? We've got to try it out. So for those of you listening and you feel like this little idea has now sparked into this amazing light bulb moment for you, I would suggest that you go down now to my show notes and you go and download this freebie. Now, in addition to that, if you also find that, hey, what Larissa said here absolutely resonates with you and you need that help, then my suggestion is to go out and reach out to Larissa and have a conversation with her. So I've got Larissa's Facebook and LinkedIn details here in my show notes, so you can go and connect with her there, but also her website, so you can obviously go and connect with her through her website as well. And I'm sure she would love to have a conversation with you. Am I right, Larissa? Just to kind of see
Absolutely.
where you're at, what is it that you need help with, and then she can also say how she can help you. But yeah, I just love having these kind of conversations because it just shows you that, it is not as complicated as we make it out to be. There's always options. There's always ways to make this work, whatever the goal or dream is. If you want to become a best-selling author or even just a author and publish your first book, there's a way to do it. And there's help, which is the most important thing.
Yeah, I absolutely want to talk to people. I'm also very proud to announce that now I work for Next Page Publishing. That's my company. We are now offering literary grants to those that come in and want to be a part of our program. So we have our program where we help you write, edit, market, and publish your book. We are now offering literary grants to support people coming into those fields that need the support to get their vision out into the world.
Oh my gosh. And that is an amazing position to be in. So well done and congratulations. And,
thank you.
I think it's just fantastic to be able to offer that out to the world. So thank you so much for that as well. Again, thank you so much for helping out. And thank you so much for all the advice and knowledge you shared here with us. So for those of you listening, go get that freebie now. Go make a connection with Larissa, have a conversation with her, and just see where that would take you. You never know what the opportunities could be if you don't try it out. Okay.
Yeah.
Larissa, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And yeah, you and I have got so much to discuss still. So I think we're going to be we're going to be connected soon again, and we're going to have another chat.
I love that. This is great. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you.